Alrighty, this is going to be a video telling y'all how to build y'all's own super effective light bank and indoor grow setup for pepper plants. Now, this setup can and probably will work for any type of plant. However, my pepper plants seem to really like it. Basically, I'm going to go over what you need to do to the parts you need, where you can get them. I'm going to post links to all the important things such as light bulbs that you need. I'll post links to where they're at in the description of the video. I'll go over the cheaper way to do it that I wish I would have done it, but I like building things, so I actually cut aluminum and built this all, myself. The way I'm going to teach you is going to be cheaper and probably faster. First thing, I want to go over exactly what is the point of the way I did this setup. Well, the way I got this set up is I wanted the best light range that I can think of, the best light spectrum, along with the most amount of light. Now, if you see right here, I have LEDs, incandescents, and also fluorescent lights. And I arranged them to where each half of the actual growing area gets all three. So no area of the growing area is getting more or less of each kind of light than the other one. And I did this because this setup was originally going to be for 2 plants. But plans change. Now, before I go over everything else, I'm going to go over a few things. When you're growing in this setup, the important things you want is heat, humidity, and light levels. Now, for every, couple inches of, space from the bulbs to your plant, each bulb loses a little bit of light. So when you first start them and they're small, you may need to prop them up off the ground to get them closer to the light setup like I have. Or you can build an adjustable light setup that you can raise. Now, another thing I want to go over is watering. Now, I've done a lot of research, and a lot of what I've read has said when growing peppers indoors, you want to let them almost completely dry and almost begin to wilt, and then water them. Now, I haven't been doing that. I haven't been doing anything near that. What I've been doing is I watered my plants once when I first put them in this setup, and ever since then I've got me a squirt bottle and I've just misted the ground, made sure the ground was damp. Not wet, but damp. That's right there, that's the most I water each day. I do once during the morning and then once again in the afternoon, and then anytime the surface of the ground looks like it dries out, I've been, I missed it. You get it going. Now this little guy right here, this is a jalapeno pepper plant that I originally didn't expect to grow very well, because I just kind of threw it in a old pot with some really old dirt and just left it to its devices, and it ended up being my strongest jalapeno. So I brought it in and I put it in this Gatorade bottle, and I put it underneath this light, and it's grown probably half an inch in a few days since it's been in here. I've noticed that under this setup from my outside plants I brought inside my habanero and my bird's eye peppers, they all grew close to an inch or an inch within 1 week's of time, and also grew a lot of more leaves, and their leaves got bigger. I'm also going to go over some things that I found best for trimming and pruning the peppers inside. But that'll be in a minute. But you see right here the 2 big ones in the end. Those, I just bought those today. Those are my ghost chilies, and all these small sprouts are Trinidad scorpions, and then I got one Carolina Reaper in here somewhere as one of the sprouts. Okay. First, the pruning. What I've done, I did this with my habanero, and I'll post a picture in the video maybe in a little bit. But I pretty much cut off the top of it, and then cut off all the large leaves off of it, And I've also been going through and pinching off these little starter leaves that the plants get when they very first sprout out of their seeds. Because once the plant gets bigger and gets the bigger leaves, they don't get any sun anyways, and all they're doing is using a little bit of energy. So I mean, you can leave them on if you want. It doesn't hurt anything for them to be there. But I've just been taking them off. That's just out of habit. And plants don't seem to mind, and seems to do really well. Anyways, now I covered over the watering. You can water them however you like, whatever works best for you. But I like the spray bottle and just keeping the topsoil moist, and my plants seem to love it. You can actually see here that jalapeno is actually starting to harden off and wood off on his trunk. Anyways, so first thing is that you want is your lights. Instead of doing one big long fluorescent grow light tube like a lot of people do, and they'll buy them online or at Home Depot, something like that, which is what I originally was going to do. But then I read up a lot of stuff about different light spectrums and stuff like that. So what I instead did is I took mine back to Home Depot that I bought for $30, and I went and bought all these. I got these fluorescents at Ace Hardware. It cost me $6, whatever, they came in a pack. And I got them just because they were the highest, they put out the most amount of light that I can find. Now, people go over with different, temperature ranges, whiter or yellower, better for leaf, development and greenness, or better for flowers. That stuff, I haven't tested it, and I'm nowhere near tested with mine, but, to each his own. A lot of people, I've read a lot of places that it doesn't matter, they still put out flowers and fruit either way, and I've read some that it's best to do it with one hot and one cold. But that's yet to be seen with my stuff. So I went and got those fluorescents. I got the bulbs, and then on Walmart.com they actually sell these the LED grow lights. They come with red and blue LEDs, and they come in a pack of 2. So I went ahead and ordered those, and I also got these fluorescent grow lights that came in a pack of 4. I think the light bulbs, they were $16 for each of the pack, each pack was $16. So that's what I spent on those. They came in, 4 days or so, whatever, and they all came in working in good condition. Now, I did the fluorescent grow lights, not necessarily for their light, but for their heat. That's one thing that's really important, is to keep temperature. But what you can do really cheap to monitor your temperature and humidity is go to Petco, and they're like a couple bucks a piece. You can go buy yourself a thermometer and a humidity gauge. And you can tape them, glue them, whatever, to your area. Another thing I suggest, use a bucket or tub of some kind to actually put your plants in. What this does is, if you put your thermometer and your humidity gauge and put your plants in the bottom of the bucket, when you water them, you can actually have a heated grow pan like I did. It's just a metal pan I bought at Walmart for, $5, like that. And I also, from Petco, got a heated heat pad for animals. Also like another $5, $6. Not big. But that heats up, and any water that gets down there evaporates and becomes water vapor and creates humidity. Now, because they're being a bucket, the bucket keeps in a lot of the heat, and because the humid air, though it is hotter and rising, it's a little bit heavier than the normal colder air outside, and it tends to stay in here. So that's what I've found. And so far I've been keeping mine at between 40 and 60 or 70% humidity. It varies when you miss them, but that's the growing temperature I've seen so far that works really well. And humidity, and then temperature between 80 and 90 degrees is what it's been staying on when the light is on. Now another important thing, my plants I've been growing for 16 hours a day in the light. Now if you can afford to have the electricity bill go up a little bit, then yes, great. Do the 16 hours, that's what I did. And the plants love it, that 16 hours. Also, another thing, except for the incandescents and the light bank, a lot of this doesn't really, go into using a lot of power. A lot of it's all low watts, but puts out a lot of watts for how low it is. And I think total I'm putting out 4,000 to 5,000 light units in this area. So it's a lot of light for the setups. Now, you can do your pan, your bucket, and your gauges, and that controls your actual lower environment. That's your lower temperature, humidity, and your monitoring. That's how I've got mine set up. Now let's talk about the actual light setup. Now when I did mine, I went to Ace Hardware and I spent $80 just on these shop lights. I got 6 of them and I arranged them in this kind of square diamond things that where I can do my lights in my setup. Now you can do this too. No problem doing this. I used youll. I bought some aluminum, it's like a 1/10 of an inch thick aluminum, whatever, and I cut it and I used youll and glued it all together. It works great. I also went and bought me a nice aluminum plate. Then I put a plug strip that I attached to the plate, and I cut all my wires and made everything all nice and neat and clean, so it's all, nice looking. You can do this. Now, by all means, if you want to spend extra money to go this route and have something really nice and, high-tech looking, go for it. The total setup will cost, to build it, if it cost the same as mine, would cost you around, $100 if you have, the time, money, and skill to put into it. And it works great, and it looks great. But if not, if you don't want to go that route, what you can do, so if you can find just these sockets, or if you have them laying around, you can get these, and then go to Walmart and buy some disposable aluminum foil baking pans. They're really cheap. They normally come in a pack of 3 or 4 of them, and use that. Just stick this through the top of it, and poke holes through it to where your lights come into the bottom, and you can use that entire pan as this reflector bank. And that will put all your light going down, and you can do as many of them as you want. But it should be a lot cheaper than going this route. It won't look as neat and efficient and clean looking, but it will work. Now I didn't try it because I like building stuff, so I did it this way. But if you do it that way, it should save you a bit of money if you got the lights already. And you can still get your cheap plug strip and do it like this. Just make sure you do your wires real good so you don't, have any shorts or electrocute anyone. And do that. Next, the easiest way that you can build your, stand is go the way I did. I just went to Ace and, excuse me, bought PVC pipe and joints. And I cut everything, made a square frame that goes around the base, and stands going up. Now, I'll probably do it in the future, but you can actually cut this and use this to make an adjustable one by having different length center pieces that you just pull off. Now, if you go the route with the disposable cooking pan, aluminum cooking pan, make a second box like I did down here up on top that your cooking pan sits on top of, and it just poke some holes through it and do some zip ties through it to hold it solid on there. You may need to reinforce the top of it to keep it from crinkling with the weight of the lights, but I'll leave most of y'all's devices on that because I can't give y'all all the answers. I haven't even thought about how to fix that. You could go through, and if you have a way to cut holes in it, buy cheap aluminum sheet like this, to put your lights through, and that would make it a lot more sturdy. And then you can put your pan underneath that. Up to y'all. But if you do this setup, your plants should love it, because mine have loved it. And like I said, it should work with anything, peppers or anything else. I know I had a tomato plant in here, and it loved it for the couple days I had it. But it seems to work really well with peppers. Another thing I wanted to bring up. In theory, this setup should work no matter how big or small you make it. You can have just 3 of these lights, and it will work if you're doing just a smaller plant, a single plant, or a smaller area. Or if you want to go extreme and you have the room and space, you could make this setup 10 feet long. But the thing that I want to stress is make sure you have sorry about that, my voice is getting a little hoarse. Another thing squirt bottle is good for keeping your voice throat clean. 1 second. Anyways, back to that. Okay. But you can make this thing 10 feet long if you have the room and you come up for it. But the thing I want to stress, if you want to get results like I'm getting, try to do all 3 of these different types of light. Now, you can do different bulbs from different sources, different price ranges, but I highly suggest the LEDs, red and blue. That gives you your red and blue light spectrum. It doesn't do much for heat or for actual light units, but it does give the red-blue light spectrum that plants need. And you can do your fluorescents, which do give out a lot of light, and gives you light units. Gives the white light or yellow light that your plants need, but it doesn't put out much heat. And but it gives a lot of the actual usable light that your plants can use. And in the fluorescent, which isn't really good for anything else besides putting out a lot of light and heat, and that's what mine are mostly for, is just to put out the heat that the plants need. So as long as you can get these different aspects into your setup, you can do as many lights or as big as a setup as you want for as many plants as you want. And you can make it as good as you want. But just control your humidity, your heat, your moisture level in your soil, and your light, and you should be good. If you have any more questions, leave me a message or a comment. Thank you.